I was born in Ashby, Minnesota on April 16th, 1913. We were 13 in our family. My father and mother were married. Our father was married before and had 3 children, Carl, Bert, and Julia. Their mother died. She was just young. Judy was little. And my mother had been working for them. And of course, she and Dad got together, and so they were married. When I was 5 years old, Evelyn was born. I had a little brother, and he died from appendicitis. They had to go to Fergus to the hospital, and they had to wait. We had a train, we called it the 10 o'clock flyer, and that stopped in Ashby, and then the folks went on that and had to go to Fergus, and he died during the surgery. So I was old enough to remember a few things, and I remember seeing my mother crying and wondering, not old enough to figure anything out. But then when Evelyn was baptized, we went to church, and they took her up in the front to baptize her, and I thought they were going to take her away like they did my little brother. And I cried and cried and cried, and they had to take me out. And I remember how she shook me because she was so angry. She wanted to see the baby baptized. Eva Bemis was my teacher, and she was about your size, I guess. I just loved her. And one thing I remember about this, every Memorial Day, we had a program at school, and when we were little, in 1st and 2nd grade, we marched from the school to the cemetery and laid wreaths and flags on all the soldiers' graves and said a little verse, said a little poem. And then I think about 3rd to 4th grade was one of the worst ones I think I ever had. But I didn't like the teacher, for one thing, and many kids didn't. But I got through school. I didn't want to go to be a teacher. I knew I didn't want to be a teacher. But my dad thought any girl couldn't make a living if they weren't either a nurse or a teacher. And I wanted to go into music. So after I'd been there for a while, I told him he was just wasting his money, so I went home. And then he also my dad had a little trucking business. They trucked to the cities, the livestock to South St. Paul, and then would bring other things back. They were short a driver, and I had been driving since I was 14 and done a lot of driving for my dad. And so they suggested that I fill in. So I drove the truck that summer, and Elsie, my older sister, graduated from nursing, and she went out to California. So she wrote and wanted me to come. And so the secretary our bookkeeper, whatever they called her, at the store said if I was going out to California, she was too. And she had just gotten a new car, so we drove out there. And that was quite a thing. There were 6 of us in the car. Her brother and a friend went along, and then we gave 2 other girls a ride on. We pulled a little cart with our luggage in behind it. One time we got stalled, and something broke down, and them boys had to go in and get it fixed. We had to sit out on the prairie, out in the desert, for almost a day. Elsie was surgical nurse working in surgery at the Hollywood Hospital at that time, and they needed a nurse's aide in the nursery. So she mentioned this to the supervisor, and I applied for the job and got it and worked there. And that was a very, very good experience. Then, of course, in the meantime, when I was at the store, I had met Art, and we became quite serious. And he didn't like the idea that I had gone out to California. So he kept writing and asking me to come back. And I came back that summer, not thinking I was going to stay. But then we decided to get married, so that we were married in September. And I'm very, very thankful for my family and for the last 32 years. I've seen so much country, so much, had so many good experiences. And you can always forget about the bad ones, think of the good ones.
What's the secret to living so long?
Determination, strong faith. I believe that a lot of times, if I hadn't believed in the answer of prayer, I would never have made it. But I just feel that you just can't give up.
Wonderful, oh it's wonderful to be in love with you. Beautiful, you're so beautiful, you haunt me all day through. Every little breeze seems to whisper Louise, birds in the trees seem to twitter Louise. Each little rose tells me it knows I love you, love you. Every little beat that I feel in my heart seems to repeat what I felt at the start.